We're going to start with our Mariners here, who were down in the Sunshine State over their past road trip after heading down to Texas to play the Rangers. Headed down to the middle of that road trip with a 2-game set against the San Diego Padres in the Vetter Cup. Started off nice, a nice 4-1 win. Our player of the game, right fielder Teoscar Hernandez. Teo, 2 hits, 1 run, and 2 RBIs. As Seattle, nice to hold. The Padres is just 1 run there. I know they just got Manny Machado back really recently. And I, despite not really performing up to expectations, that's still a very talented roster they've got down at Petco Park. And it showed in the game on the 7th to split that series there with the Padres, a 3-10 loss. Our player of the game, left fielder Jared Kelenic, 2 hits on the day. Every other run, all those 3 runs that came across were all on 1-hit RBIs. So a tough one here. Again, it is a good ball club with the Padres. I've got a lot of good talent there. Not great to give up 10 runs in any sort of situation there, so that's not great. But, in terms of the split itself, that's fine. We go over here to our Angels. The Mariners still looking for a series win over the Angels, having played them earlier in the first homestand of the year and losing that one pretty early on. Began with a loss, 4-5 loss on June 9th as Seattle not able to get too much off of Shohei Ohtani on the mound outside of our player of the game, left fielder Jared Kelenic. Kelenic, 1 hit, 1 run, 2 RBIs, and a walk. That 1 hit was a 2-run homer off of Ohtani in the 3rd inning. Outside of that, Shohei did not give up anything. It was otherwise pretty solid on the mound. He was also solid at the plate, had a homer, had a double off of Mariners ace Luis Castillo, who continues to sort of tread water and not necessarily have the best outings since his really hot start to the year. So, yeah, not the greatest. The Mariners were able to inch closer in the 9th inning. Mike Ford hit a homer to make it 4-5, but Seattle was not able to find that tying run there. We go over to June 10th. The Mariners are able to even the series after that opening loss and show a little bit of what we were expecting with this Mariners team. Brian Wu makes his 2nd start of his young career, has a much better outing than he did against the Rangers earlier on. Still gives up 2 runs, which is fine. It's only his 2nd start in the majors after being called up from Double-A, of all places. So not the easiest route that Brian has had to the majors to this point. But some really solid performances at the plate from our 2 players of the game. First, center fielder Julio Rodriguez, 3 hits, 1 run, and 2 RBIs on the day, including a 2-run homer. And then shortstop JP Crawford, 4 hits on the day, 1 run, and 1 RBI. JP continues a strong start to the year offensively. Has had a few errors here and there, but otherwise has been pretty solid on the defensive end as well. Seattle, as you can see on the screen, not able to complete the series winner. Still searching for one. I believe they've lost their last. You split the Padres series, but you haven't won a series here in a bit since May, obviously. And so the June 11th game, 4-9 loss. Our player of the game, right fielder Teoscar Hernandez, 3 hits, 1 run, and 2 RBIs on the day. Just looking at this team, it's nothing new per se that we're looking with the Mariners here. I say this nearly week by week, and we talked about this in the offseason. We talked about it last year. The bats just aren't getting it done. And Jerry DePoto's talked about it. It's been talked about all over. One bat that you can add at the deadline is not going to solve all the problems. There's no magic acquisition that you can go and get that will solve all the problems, fill all the holes that the Mariners have offensively. That doesn't, Brian Reynolds will not go and fix that. I know he was someone that people were looking at for the Mariners in the offseason. A lot of their improvement this year, at least, is going to be internally. How that looks in the offseason, who knows, especially considering the fact that the Mariners talked about adding impact on offense and added guys like Cooper Hummel, who was in AAA, Tommy La Stella, who got DFA'd, and AJ Pollock, who's been the best acquisition of that group, and he's been mediocre at best. So filling boat holes with Band-Aids is still a strategy that the Mariners are implying, and it's not working. A lot of folks thought that bringing up Mike Ford would help the offense a lot, and he's had 2 homers, fine, but he hasn't really been great outside of that. So again, there's no secrets to the Mariners' struggles here. Their bats just continue to flop, and I think it's put a lot of pressure on the pitching staff. You've had this pitching staff be so great for the last several years, including the start to this year. George Kirby looked like an all-star to begin the year. Luis Castillo looked really hot to begin the year. Logan Gilbert had some strong starts. Robbie Ray, unfortunate to begin the year with that injury in his first start. Bryce Miller had a really start to his career. Brian Wu, not so much. Again, he's working on it. But especially with the younger pitchers, you can't expect them to sustain that sort of success over the course of a long season, especially with how early it is in the season. We're in June, and these games will go until like the beginning of October at minimum, unless you go into the postseason, right? So there's plenty of time for this to be figured out, but plenty of time is not the best word, because you probably need to do that sooner rather than later. You are still in reach of the third wild card, but saying that is just a little disappointing and almost demeaning in a way. You shouldn't be focusing or settling for the third wild card spot in June, and settling is a generous word considering that you're not even in that spot right now. So, a lot of this improvement is going to have to be internal. Now, who leads that charge? Who gets up in the clubhouse and speaks to that? I don't know right now. I really don't know. I know that when Kyle Seager retired, he basically named J.P. Crawford as the team's next captain. But I mean, is JP in the clubhouse having these conversations? I know that the big turning point last year was when the Mariners had that big brawl with the Angels down in Anaheim, and they just left that series. There was no brawl this time. Phil Nevin got tossed, but that's just a given considering how bad of a manager he is and the decisions that he makes. But, it's going to have to be internal. Who's leading that charge, though? Who's stepping up to the plate? Who's leading by example? Mitch Haniger is gone. He's with the Giants. He used to be a guy that led by example. You don't have that anymore. Who is stepping up? Who's saying that? I know there's a lot of younger talent in this clubhouse, so maybe they're not stepping up, but maybe one of them does. Someone's got to step up. Someone's got to say something, because again, this very well can be solved internally, and regardless of if it can or not, it kind of has to be done internally, because you really don't have a ton of assets to ship out to add a ton of impact and numerous bats. It's not going to happen. You can probably add one or two, but that would be the most that you could do. That would be the very most. So again, it's not a new conversation. We continue to have it, and it's frustrating that we continue to have it. I know that there have been calls for firing of the hitting coach, but I've also been told by some folks who really do know ball that it's not necessarily the hitting coach. So that's a little frustrating. I think it would make sense, just considering over the course of the time that we've had the respective hitting coaches in places, that the offense has struggled. 2021, when the Mariners almost made the playoffs, the offense still struggled. 2022, when the Mariners did make the playoffs, the offense still largely struggled, and you were heavily reliant on the long ball. And to an extent here, and this year, you're still reliant on the long ball. You've got some solid hitters. JP's had a solid start to the year. Julio is a lot better than he was to begin the year. In his last 30 games, Ty France has been solid. I mean, over the past week, Teoscar, has been strong. JK started off the year hot, has cooled down a little bit, but seems to be finding it again. Gino, you need more from Eugenio Suarez. You need more from Cal Raleigh. We could check in. You need more from Tom Murphy. You need, even your bench. Dylan Moore is back. He's been meh. Sam Haggerty got sent down to AAA. Taylor Trammell got sent down to AAA. You got Mike Ford up here. So it's like you're searching for answers internally, and at the end of the day, these players are going to have to step up. If you want to make a postseason run. Again, we're in June. We're not even halfway through June, but we can only pitter and patter and doggy paddle through the water so much before you drown. So I just have to be real about it. So we go to injury-related news. The Mariners get some relief in terms of their relief pitchers. On the 6th of June, right-handed pitcher Andres Munoz was reinstated from the 15-day injured list with a right deltoid strain. So was infielder/outfielder Dylan Moore from the 10-day IL with that oblique strain that he had suffered and really started to work back from here. Unfortunately, as a resulting move, but not as a resulting move, one of the other moves on the 6th was that right-handed pitcher Trevor Gott was placed on the 15-day injured list with a lower back muscle spasm, which was retroactive to June 5th. On the 9th, right-handed pitcher Penn Murphy was reinstated from the 15-day injured list with right elbow inflammation. He did leave the June 10th Mariners game with supposedly had re-aggravated that injury. He was supposed to get MRIs yesterday. Have not seen an updated report. When we get to the ballpark today, we will probably hear more about that. Other resulting team-related news on the 6th, I mentioned infielder/outfielder Sam Haggerty had been optioned down to, got nasally there. AAA Tacoma. On the 8th, the Mariners signed infielder Didi Gregorius to a minor league deal. He last played in the majors for the Philadelphia Phillies last year. The 33-year-old hasn't really been productive in the majors since 2020. Had some epic moments with the Yankees in the postseason. Most recently played in the Mexico League and really has been slashing well down there. The Mariners are kicking the tires, seeing what's going on with Gregorius. I mean, he could be a good low-risk, high-reward option. But I don't know. It should be interesting. I don't believe he's played with the Rainiers as of yet. So that is I don't know. It's an interesting move. It's a kick the tires on him. On the 9th, as a resulting move to Penn Murphy's reinstatement, the team optioned right-handed pitcher Matt Festa down to the AAA Tacoma Rainiers. So the Mariners sit at a 31-33 record. They've got a little 6-game homestand coming up here, so it's a good opportunity for them to get back home, kind of reset, get back to basics here, and hopefully get back to winning. It won't be easy, though, considering that the first team that you're going to play in this homestand has been pretty solid as of late in the Miami Marlins. Yes, I don't really say that often. Miami really has struggled for a while, but Miami's coming off of a strong series in their most recent endeavor. The Mariners sit at a 31-33 record. They're 4th in the American League East, still only above the lowly A's. So even the A's are on a 5-game winning streak. And the longest winning streak that the Mariners have had this season is 4 games. So tell you all you need to know. Not all you need to know, but they're 4th in the AL West. Looking ahead, their next series is a 3-game slate, all with 6:40 p.m. Pacific time first pitch times against the Miami Marlins, June 12th. 13th and 14th. All of those are value games, so you can get into the ballpark as cheap as $10. Excuse me. Then the next series in that 6-game homestand, is against the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox come to town for the first time since late into the 2020 season. June 16th versus the White Sox is a 7:10 p.m. game. June 17th versus the White Sox is a 1:10 p.m. start. That is when the Mariners will be celebrating their salute to the Negro Leagues game. The first 10,000 fans into the ballpark will be receiving a Steelheads jersey. So I know I'll be there for that. And then June 18th versus the White Sox, that Sunday, is a 1:10 p.m. game as well. Every child in attendance will be getting a Cal Raleigh poster for that.